Hello, this is a video I wanted to make of Alfred B Glaser. I'm going to read off something that Al Fry wrote about Alfred Glaser a while back. It's called Comments on Present-Day Spiritual Leader, Teacher A. B. Glaser. Obviously Glaser's dead now, but here's what Al Fry wrote. In offering the published works of A. B. Glaser, I am frequently asked about some of Glaser's background and past. Since it will be a few years until a more detailed book about Glaser will be out, let me make a few comments here. Glaser was born in Kentucky with almost complete awareness and recall. He could remember exactly how it felt in his mother's womb, and he could relate many interesting incidents from any period in his childhood. As he matured, he could recall why he came to Earth and what he had done in past incarnations here. His ability to tap into the so-called Akashic records was phenomenal. When I first began to visit him in his public relations office in California, I was a bit bewildered. He didn't have much more than a dictionary in the way of printed matter. As a quote-unquote bookworm, this baffled me. Later, as I saw him drudge up complex answers out of his head, I really became impressed. One of the mandates of his mission, I later learned, was to answer any question that one of us thick-skulled humans asked. He was sort of a spiritual lawyer from another dimensional realm. As he functioned under free principles of the Creator's law, he had access to knowledge on any plane or level. In seconds, he could answer virtually any question he got, at the level of a physicist or at the lad of a child. He acted as kind of a super Edgar Casey, with none of the usual quote-unquote dial-in limitations. Later, he was to put down some of the foundation principles to how all this was accomplished. His Modern Humans text detailed the atom structures and how some persons could transcend time and space through maintaining correct atom flow and mind wells. So-called miracles, quote-unquote, were not miraculous to Glaser. He performed them all his life to get his work done. As an intelligence officer during the Second World War, he cheated death many times. Eventually, the highest Allied commanders discovered him and used his talents to keep Allied forces supplied. He routinely did the impossible. Even the Russians loved him. He could drink them all under the table. Their leaders respected only him, even though he simply tricked them by turning the alcohol to water mentally. Aside from the millions of supplies he procured, it was he who got the rebel Jews of Europe their ship headed for Israel. After the war, his role got revered a little at one point. Recognizing that the CIA was getting out of hand with their heavy-handed tactics, Glaser did an expose on them in a tabloid newspaper he published. I well remember that his office would get torn apart repeatedly prior to visits I made there. His news racks all across Southern California were stolen or destroyed during this period. Some of this period is touched on in Joseph Cater's book, The Awesome Life Force. And just a side note there, I actually talked to Joseph Cater, and that wasn't Glaser he was talking about. It was someone named Beck, I believe. Anyway, back to the story. Plans to eliminate Glaser backfired. CIA agents got eliminated instead. Glaser told them to lay off, they would have even more trouble. The bullets were ineffective against a person of Glaser's background. The foundation principles back of this are clearly outlined in the transcript of a recording Paul Bunker's quote-unquote total self-defense book contains these remarkable principles. Glaser maintained that anything Jesus Christ or anyone else ever did mentally was simply done under law. Sorry, my picture there. Was simply done under law. Where am I here? Anyone who made the effort and balanced their mind components could do the same. If there was a catch in all this, it was probably the fact that the majority of us humans just couldn't get out of our priority or C-mind thinking long enough to get guidance. One mind, for example, would only put out a half dozen or so watts of electricity or energy a day. Unless a couple of other mind components could be added in to triple the wattage, instant miracles would be scarce and coming. How the three major mind components work together was covered in the second comprehension text. Glaser's body carried a huge load of energy. He once explained that his soul component had selected his lineage very carefully because of its load-carrying ability. His genetic line could be traced back to some of the old kings, quote-unquote, or gods of ancient times. He mentioned that this lineage gave him a very strong thought tendency to rule and control the lame-witted, dishonest persons around him. He constantly had to remain in self-control, with a temptation much greater than in an ordinary person. At one point, he explained that he was going to recommend a complete alteration in human life patterns here. The Creator, he explained, told him to be patient, though most humans did have hidden good points. Around the turn of the century, Glaser explained we'd have a great cataclysmic quote-unquote pole shift if we did not act to prevent such an action by the mid-90s. Prior to this, humans would all make what could be termed final choice. They knowingly or inwardly would follow the patterns of the free choice laws of the Creator, or they would continue in the ways of domination. How they chose would determine whether souls would continue with mind components or not. And that's the end of my little biography of Al Glaser for now. That's it for now. Have a good one.